That's right. Well, let's talk about the county commission meeting itself. Where would you like to begin on some of the things that you guys talked about yesterday?
Well, the more boisterous conversation and comments were around what's going on in Santa Fe. Jerry Fanning always gives us a very detailed report of what's going on up there, and as we speak, I just got a text or an email from him. I guess SB4 did pass, which is a travesty. He mentioned they didn't manage to get a few amendments in, so that's the big one. Yeah, that's pretty scary.
So for those that either don't have access to their notes, like me, or may not be aware, SB4, which what issue is that attempting to correct or fix or repair?
That's the one that's it has to do with I think some of the qualified immunity. It was one of the worst of the worst as far as its impact on local governments. It's going to raise the price of insurance for law enforcement and everyone else. I don't know the exact details because it's a bill that's been in flux all along. I do know that 28 out of 33 county commissioners passed resolutions against it. Mm-hmm. So it had to be, and Bernalillo was one of them. So
really,
it had to be rather egregious. So
yeah. Well, that's not good. So I take it now, is that one that started in the Senate, so it has to go to the House, or?
No, it's already passed. I think it's headed to the governor.
Wow. Okay.
It's HB4 passed the Senate, so I misspoke when I called it SB.
Okay, so it started in the House.
The House and went to the Senate, and it got out of judiciary, and they passed it on the floor. I think Jerry said, let me look here, last night, 12:15 a.m.
So this morning.
Yeah, it was the middle of the night. Yeah,
middle of the night. The HB4 has passed the Senate and will now go to the governor and she can sign it, or she can veto it, or she can not sign it. In which case, after so many days, is that the pocket veto or?
Yes, be a pocket veto, but there was a move early on in the legislature to take that ability, the pocket veto part, away from her. Now, I don't know whether that ever went anywhere. There's so much of that stuff that's just kind of run into a dead end. But I picked up on that somewhere, but I think that's something that she's been in support of. It's
yeah.
I think to a large degree, it's a form of the nationwide anti-police. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of governments to do a lot of things differently. I wish I was better informed on what it actually is, but the word I've got across the board is it's a very bad bill for us.
Well, and Sheriff Cage has talked about it on his radio segments, and he's likened it to the type of change that will make it to where the departments like the Sheriff's Department, instead of trying to be there in response to a potential crime, they may just have to sit back and wait for the crime to happen and then come in and clean up afterwards, because they don't want to put their officers personally liable for things that may happen during an incident.
I don't know whether some of that language is in this bill or not, but I heard him say yesterday off the record that some of this stuff, if it passes and comes down, it will be the end of our SWAT team.
Yeah.
We're just not going to be able to respond. One of the things he said is, you go to do something and there's so many rules that you've got to pass or you get sued, you can't operate.
Right. No, he has said that on the radio. He has said that previously. Yeah, that is correct. He has indicated that puts operations like that in jeopardy, because you can't. There's so many restrictions.
Yeah, Jerry did say there were some amendments made so it's not as bad, but we'll see what those amendments are. So
Okay.
who knows? Maybe it'll. The red flag bill was opposed by most all of the counties around New Mexico as well, and it passed. And some of the conversation around the commission yesterday was, with the 28 counties being against this, maybe it'll help. And Jerry made the point, but the red flag law had the same opposition, and it passed anyways. So
Right. No,
not good.
We definitely have people that call themselves leaders in Santa Fe right now, as opposed to representatives. So that is a big difference. Outside of Mr. Fanning's report, what did you guys talk about?
Well, this is all part of it. I'm kind of pulling this out of some of the stuff he talked about. One thing, a lot of these other bad bills are hung up in committees. They've been tabled or shot down. Now there's still 2 of the marijuana bills that are stuck in the Senate. I believe it's the Senate Judiciary, and they haven't come out of there yet. Time's getting short, but there's one of them that he mentioned that the governor does want. So whether that will come out and pass or not, but I'd like to take that back to the anti-oil and gas. The marijuana was going to be their funding source to replace oil and gas with, so the hyperbole went. And, they're looking at, $100 million, three bills, $300 million. You can chase those numbers anywhere. And, you replace oil and gas, say that you do generate the full $300 million. There are billions generated by oil and gas. I misspoke. I said $300 million for the marijuana loss.
Right.
Maybe that will die. I mean, there's no way. And I think the word's getting out around the state. The Arrowhead study that Al Davis had done, that's a 4 or 5 year study on how much revenue that Eddy and Lee counties actually put into the state coffers. Those numbers are huge. And I think the word's getting out. I've seen some articles in some national newspapers that are bringing it around. I think a lot of people are beginning to understand what's going on. The county has approached a lot of other county commissions to get this information out there, and I think it's making a difference. The interesting thing I saw was the letter that the governor's office wrote to Biden to maybe hold off and give us some exemptions down here in southeast New Mexico. And my take on that is, she wants to kill it herself maybe instead and get credit for it rather than let the federal government do it. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, well, I saw that yesterday, and I kind of mentioned that. I mean, she's sitting here with a hammer pounding the oil and gas industry, just beating and beating and beating them. And then the president comes along with his deal with a bigger hammer, and she's like, no, wait a minute. If your hammer and my hammer together, we'll kill this. Just let me beat them into submission and don't come in and kill them off. That's kind of how I likened it in my opinion of what's going on here.
Yeah, but it's, people are becoming aware, and I think a lot of them did not realize just how much of the state budget comes from oil and gas right down here in southeast New Mexico. A tremendous amount of the budgets. I've heard as high as 70% of the school budget comes from 2 counties down here. And about 35% of the overall state budget. You don't replace that with marijuana money.
Well, and Fred, even if they generate $300 million in new revenue, my question would be, what's the net? Meaning, whatever effects an increased usage of marijuana in the state will have, addiction programs, crime, whatever, that's got to come off that $300 million. That $300 million isn't the net new revenue. That's just new revenue, and then you got to deal with all these other issues.
And if you dig in the weeds, a lot of these other states that have done that are having second thoughts. I don't know that they could ever get out from under it at this point, but there are a lot of expenses that come along with it. And how do you manage it? Where are they going to put the money? I haven't heard anything about the state bank they're trying to put together, but you can't put those revenues in a federally insured bank.
Mm-hmm.
It's illegal.
That's right.
So where's that going to go if they don't get the state bank formed? And that's the whole impetus behind trying to form do a state bank. But anyway.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing is just a big mess, and I think but I thought because of some of the stuff that was happening before the legislature started would help us in the election, but you go back to the last election, I think we picked up one seat in the House and one seat in the Senate, so I guess most of the state is in favor of this stuff.
It does seem that way.
That's scary.
That is kind of scary.
We're not down here in southeast New Mexico.
Was there anything else
Better
from
known
Mr.
as Little Texas?
Little Texas. Well, if we're gonna break away and form our own state, we can't have little in the name anywhere. We got to have, it's got to be It's got to be big Texas or something like that. What was there anything else from Mr. Fanning's report that was of note? You wanted to share?
We were still encouraged. Well, one thing, and I think it passed yesterday, was Catherine Brown's bill for to separate the college here in the college in Carlsbad from New Mexico State and do a community college. I think that passed in the Senate last night, so that's done.
Okay.
So the one, I don't know about the bill, the Senate bill, the companion with Gallegos and Griggs and Gay Kernan, I don't know whether that's passed or not, but that's moving along pretty sharply too. So
okay,
I think that may be a done deal. Trying to think of like I say, the big ones were SB4 and some of the other stuff. I think one that I was in favor of, and that's the ag bill to ease some restrictions on custom slaughtered beef around the state. I think that's kind of hung up. I don't think it's going anywhere, but a lot of that stuff's not going to go anywhere. We're down to, you can measure the rest of the legislature in hours instead of days right now.
That's right. That's right.
There's a lot of bills that haven't been acted on, so a lot of the bad stuff's going to die a natural death. Now, I don't know how much of the good stuff is. I think I heard just a while ago with your with the news broadcast that came on, the Pirtle time change bill got defeated. Yeah,
it did in the House. It didn't move anywhere. Yeah. And that's kind of a shame, too, because you've got some senators in Washington, bipartisan group, that are wanting to make that a federal, make that happen at a federal level, which is going to be required to have it happen. So, I don't know.
Well, my question to all of them would be, who do you know that supports that? Have you ever met anybody that's looking forward to the time change? And, I've never met that person.
Oh, you mean supports changing time twice a year, or supports? Because I don't know of anybody that.
Twice a year. Everybody is, I'm of the opinion, just leave it alone. I don't care which one it is. Let's just stop the headaches for everybody.
Well, I think that's probably about 98% of the population is they're either going to pick one, pick the other, or make up your mind and pick one. But they're all in favor of not changing time twice a year. But we can't get that approved.
Well, that was one of the high points. It looked like maybe that was going to happen. I mean, there was a lot of support for it, and then lo and behold, there's not. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy how that things work. We've got just a few minutes left, Mr. Beard. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us from yesterday's meeting?
Well, the road guy, Jason Burns, he had drawn up a rather lengthy public works, a lot of little things went out for bid from equipment for the landfill, paint to stripe the roads with, gravel. I mean, anything and everything that has to do with solid waste and roads is a very lengthy stuff that he put together, and that went out for bid to multiple people, as well as some new equipment. He's figured out how to save some money turning some lease equipment back and owning our own. You know, so especially some of the stuff that we don't just wear out using it every day. So some of that stuff was voted on and passed. You know, it's become heartening to me after some of the previous commissions over the last few years. So far, there has not been anything. I think there was one vote that was not unanimous. There's been a couple of abstentions. And other than that, everything's working beautifully right down the line. No complaints. Like I say, we're not getting written complaints from people standing in line to gripe about something. So, yeah, everything's running good. I mean, the county seems, from my observation in the 2 months that I've been in office, is running like a well-oiled machine. Now, I'm sure there are people out there that will disagree with me, but I'm not hearing from them.
So you heard it here
my
first,
number's
folks.
on the website.
Commissioner Beard is wanting complaints. No.
Yeah, I may have just set myself up. Real good.
No, that's what I hear too. Is that people seem to be very satisfied with the direction things are going, and you're right. There's always going to be different situations that people have different opinions on, but for the most part, it seems like folks are pretty satisfied with the work the county commission is doing. So appreciate you doing that. Is anything else you'd like to mention before we wrap up this morning?
No, but I just got a text that the Senate bill on the meat inspection is still on the Senate floor, so I guess I have misspoke on that. So maybe that will go at some point. So.
Well, I'm hoping the governor's Wagyu beef kerfluffle doesn't kill that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that may be, yeah. I don't know whether this will help Wagyu beef or not, but yeah. I've never had the first bite of that stuff, and I've raised a lot of other beef, shall we say. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fine. If people want to have it, that's fine, but there's nothing wrong with a good old American beef cattle steak, is there?
Yes, and there's a big push for the custom done stuff, grass-fed beef, antibiotic-free, and a lot of people are getting into that. But the rules are such that it's awful hard to get that stuff, the owner, to get it slaughtered for resale. I mean, it's almost they can raise it and sell it to somebody else, but somebody else has got to deliver it to the slaughterhouse to make it work. And we've lost a couple of slaughterhouses around over the last few years. So
yep,
some of this stuff will help alleviate those problems, maybe get some new ones out there anyway.
So let's see. Well, let's cross our fingers. Still on the Senate floor, so let's hope it passes if you're in support of it. So, well, Commissioner Beard, thank you so much for your time. As always, we greatly appreciate it, and look forward to having you and Commissioner Henry back on again here in a couple of weeks.
All right, sir. Well, I thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye now.
There's County Commissioner Fred Beard with us on the radio today. We